Association to commence his speech on behalf of legal fraternity.
Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Judges, and Educate General, and Excellent General, Respected Chairman, Bar Council of Andhra Pradesh, and Assistant Solicitor General, and Public Prosecutor, Office of Solicitor, and Senior Advocates, Legal Advocate friends. It is with sense of relief on behalf of the Andhra Pradesh High Court Advocates Association, I stand before this honorable full court to condole the sad demise of Sri Satti, Venkata garu, senior advocate, who left us on 23rd August 2020. Sri Satti Venkata garu was born on 25th February 1926 in Capital Village, West Godavari district. Upon completion of his school, he was given the best outgoing student of the year for securing the highest score of marks. He was the only female student from his village who passed 10th class in the first attempt itself. He completed his intermediate and bachelor's degree in Government College at Rajahmundry. During his stay at Rajahmundry, he was elected as President of Student Congress. He completed his post-graduation, that is Master of Arts, and LLB, prestigious Benares Hindu University, and enrolled as an advocate in the year 1953 in Bar Council of Madras. He started his practice in the District Court, Rajahmundry. Later on, shifted his practice to the High Court of Andhra Pradesh at Kintur in the year 1956, and further High Court at Hyderabad. He was elected as a member of the Bar Council of Andhra Pradesh in the year 1959. He was standing counsel for more than 25 government-owned public corporations and boards, that is, educational institutions such as Andhra University, Nagarjuna University, Telugu University, and Telugu Academy, and several central government undertakings also. He was designated as senior counsel in the year 1991 and was elected as the president of the Andhra Pradesh High Court Advocates Association for the year 1990 to 1993. He is survived by three sons, Subramanian Reddy, Sriram Reddy, and Srinivas Reddy, designated senior. All are advocates practicing in the High Court of Andhra Pradesh, and he has three daughters. His son-in-law, Mr. C.V. Mohan Reddy, a former advocate general in the combined High Court, also practices in the High Court at Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. His grandson, Mr. C. Suman, currently retired with special government attached to the office of the Advocate General in the High Court of Andhra Pradesh. The bereavement is not only to the family, but also to the entire legal fraternity. On this occasion, I, on behalf of the API Court Advocates Association, will pray the Lord Almighty for his soul for rest in peace.
With the permission of my Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice, may I now request the Land Advocate General to commence his speech on behalf of legal fraternity.
Announce the Honorable Chief Justice, the Honorable Judges, President Bar Association, Chairman Bar Council, the Public Prosecutor, the Land Assistant Solicitor General, family members, designated lawyers from the family of Mr. Venkata Reddy, designated senior counsel, law officers, registrars, and members of the fraternity. 3 months into my profession came a full bench judgment. And with the full bench judgment came a few changes. And roughly around that time, and since I was not initiated into the ways of the court and also the practice norms, we were left to wonder as to who would be the next Advocate General. And then the hearings commenced, and then the things went on. It's only during the course of our entrenching ourselves a little deeper into the goings on in the profession did we understand as to how the personality of the counsel gets infused into a public office one holds. We all know about the family members of Mr. Venkata Reddy. His son-in-law was one of the most popular lawyers at that point in time, intimidating at times. His sons were practicing lawyers, merited in their own right, and one of his sons bears the same name as I do, and I would always joke with him that he was a more popular Sriram than I was, and I continue to have the same lament about it. Sriram and I used to go to the same workplace. And during the course of finding out as to how the Office of the Advocate General performs, because we did not have enough of seeing of how the predecessors did, 2 or 3 things marked out. I joined an office where my senior told me that whatever you would wish to learn, because you didn't learn much in college anyway, is by sitting in the court hall, and sat in the court halls I did, along with a few friends of mine. 3 or 4 instances, and all of these are etched into memory, because those were the first impressions that go into the making of a struggling lawyer wanting to decide whether he stays on or not. A rough hearing happened in the then 12th court. The then 12th court was one of the toughest courts at that point in time. And I have seen that it was a tough case to handle, because I was supporting one of the interveners in that application. And the composure and the calmness with which Mr. Venkata handled the matter, by being on the receiving end, and not for once did he come across as somebody that could lose the composure in court, because he was admittedly amongst the tallest of the men then, metaphorically, diminutive as he was otherwise physically. The next event was, and by the time he had got appointed, it was 2 years to the next set of elections, and though incomparable to the present times, that was also a time and place when there would be regular battles in court which had political hues, and it was one of those cases in the 7th court headed by Justice Venkata, Reddy, where the question was whether a sitting chief minister who was already an MP could continue being so with the election commission not notifying, or is not likely to notify an election. That was a point that was argued by the same counsel in the reverse with reference to the earlier chief minister, and thus went the conversation. And when Mr. Venkata pointed out that this is a case covered against the petitioner, covered in his favor, then another lawyer of great stature at that time, Mr. Ramchandra, said that this is not an original argument, nor is this an original defense. Then Mr. Venkata said, why bother about recasting an old script which was not original anyway? And that went to the case, and that is also reported. Yet another instance was when 2 former advocates general were battling it out in the Court of Justice, Motilal Nayak, in relation to an election to a cooperative society, and in the heat of the battle, Mr. Anantababu referred to Mr. Venkata as former advocate general. Then Mr. Venkata goes back and said, if I am former, you are also former. Then he said, no, I am former. Then Mr. Venkata said, that is why one needs to be good in English to know the distinction between being an ex-advocate general and a former advocate general. Of course, neither party won, the government won that case. Recently, a sitting judge told me that when Mr. Venkata was poring over notes about an age-old litigation in relation to a subject matter, where the lawyer then and the sitting judge now had made notes in relation to a point of view that could be taken, Mr. Venkata insisted on the briefing counsel to secure the presence of that lawyer who made that note in order to find for himself as to the logic behind that note. That was the meticulousness of the old school. That was the element of preparation with reference to what should be done in a matter. We have not heard, I have not seen any person with a default smile, which all of us will find very readily on the face of Mr. Sriram Reddy also, and Mr. Srinivas Reddy, and there is a particular reason why I am excluding Mr. Mohan Reddy. So this is how the entire nurturing happened. And when we look at the kind of battles that we waged, and he was supported then by Mr. Ravindra Rao and Mr. Krishna Kaundinya, a special GP, Mr. Ravindra Rao, the designated senior counsel, is incidentally here. And the entire team showed what dignity can bring to the profession. as to how one doesn't have to be loud, crass, and domineering in order to leave its impact on the courtroom proceedings. And these are men of old school that we miss. These are men of dignity, poise, and self-respect and honor that brought a lot of glory to the profession. And most of them so fastidiously compliant with what are the minimum requirements of the profession. And then we lament at the lack of humor, courtroom humor, in the present day tumble of the profession. It is perhaps to do with the fact that we do not have these towering men in this profession. Not in good number anyway. So yet another dimension to his personality is about what he gave back to the profession. 3 of his sons lawyers, son-in-law and the grandson. Each one of them personifies as to what goes into making of a lawyer. I was a struggling lawyer for most part of the time Mr. Venkata Reddy was doing well, and therefore I did not have an opportunity to brief him in a matter. But I more than compensated for myself when I briefed on a couple of occasions Mr. Mohan Reddy into the matter. Now, perhaps it is destiny that a part of Mr. Venkata Reddy's family is around me. He is a special government leader with me who has nurtured every moment of mine and my team with all the qualities which Mr. Venkata Reddy has personified and Mr. Mohan Reddy has stood for. Courtesy, grace, magnanimity, leadership, responsibility, and accountability. We need a few more of Mr. Venkata Reddy's ilk, and we need a few more of his family members, and this has nothing to do with who else can come out of the family. I can only end this by saying that a man lived for 96 years. His glory is something that the best of us can't capture in our words, because the impact he has left on us, his sheer presence, is something that will survive lifetimes. He will be spoken of in great measure as a man that was soft-spoken, who stood tall, who never gave up, but asserted his right to be heard. While we condole absence of a person from our midst, and we also express our sympathies to the family to survive that loss, I think there are a few lives that we celebrate. I think this is one of those lives, the manner in which that was lived, and the way in which the family has given everything back to the profession, and the manner in which they continue to do so is a matter of celebration. I convey my heartfelt condolences on behalf of the fraternity, on behalf of my own, to the family members of Mr. Venkata Reddy, to have the fortitude to bear his loss and in some way multiply the presence of Mr. Venkata Reddy through their sheer presence. May God bless his soul.
I now request my Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice, to deliver your Lord's speech.
My esteemed sister and brother judges, Lord Advocate General, President AP High Court Advocates Association, Chairman Bar Council of Andhra Pradesh, Additional Advocate General, Additional Solicitor General, Public Prosecutor, Law Officers, Honored Senior Advocates, members of the Bar, officers of the Registry, respected family members of late Sri Venkata Reddy, ladies and gentlemen. This is day of mourning, as we have lost one of the most towering senior advocates of the erstwhile High Court of Andhra Pradesh. It's a void which is to be felt by the family members and the members of the bar. I have no interaction with late Sri Venkata Reddy, but what I have heard from the members of the bar and today during the address of Lord Advocate General Mr. Satti Reddy. He lived a glorious and illustrious life. Having come from a small village, going to Banaras Hindu University, then becoming Advocate General, Bar Council President, achieving all the feathers in life, and then 3 of his sons are there in the Andhra Pradesh High Court Bar at Hyderabad, and with us, Mr. Suman and C.V. Mohan Reddy. I can only feel what kind of towering personality he must have been by looking at C. Mohan Reddy and C. Suman. The way they have been groomed, though he was father-in-law of Mr. Mohan Reddy and grandfather of Mr. Suman, but the future generations tell us about the past also. We are really sad today of losing such a towering and illustrious personality. Quality of the bar is always known and felt by the quality of the senior advocates who are available in the bar. And it speaks of all the good qualities. As Learned Advocate General said, he was a formidable opponent. He was belligerent at times, but composed and cool also when it was needed in the courtroom. And he was soft spoken also. That is all the good qualities of a man who has head and heart. We bow down to the personality and the great soul, and I, my own behalf, and on behalf of my brother and sister judges and the entire High Court, offer deep condolences and pray that the God Almighty give all the courage to the members of the family to bear the loss, and may the pious soul attain Sadgati.
With the permission of my Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice, may I now request all to observe silence for 2 minutes as a mark of respect to the departed.